All right, I think we're live. We'll see. Welcome to Let's Get Vulnerable with Dominica May. We're back to our two original guests. We may have somebody else pop in and join us later. Don't know. I sent the link to somebody else and they've not replied, so we'll see. But yeah, good to have you both back again, Sharad and Mike. Sharad is joining in from Malaysia, and Mike is in New York City. And I am in Oakland, California. Yay. So that's why we're doing this on a
three different time zones.
Three different time zones, three different windows.
Over 2 days.
Yes. It's Friday night for me and Mike. And Saturday morning for Sharad.
Yeah.
I thought I'd do Friday this time because I wasn't available Wednesday this week. I had an improv rehearsal. That's the night that we've been doing these live streams, and I thought, well, if I do it on a Saturday daytime in Sharad's time zone, then maybe my friends in Australia might watch. We'll see.
Maybe.
Fingers crossed, probably not. We'll see. But anyway, yeah, let's jump into it. I've still have so many decks. So which ones do you want to start with today?
Why didn't we end with the saucy pack?
This one? Yeah.
The
do you want to start with one of those ones today?
Saucy.
Yeah, let's start high.
Yeah.
Start high. Okay. Well, did you want the same intimacy question deck from this one? Because there were different themes, remember? The other ones were relationship, past, random, about you, and what's this one? Life.
Sharad, what are you feeling, baby?
I don't know. I mean, how about we start with let's start backwards. How about we start with life? That's a much more
okay.
biggie kind of prompt.
I have to pick one that's actually based on it's relevant, because the first one I picked was, how did I make you smile this week? We haven't had this is the first time we're communicating. This is what happens when you make me pick a deck from a deck that's meant to be for a couple. So
we could always amend the question. How did I make you smile this week? How did I name a time that I've ever made you smile?
Yeah.
Do you want to go with that, or you want me to pick a different question?
We can start off with that. I think that that's a really good one.
Do it.
Okay. How about I'll start off. So one thing about Dominica, I really appreciate about you and how you make me smile is, you actually make a genuine effort to get in touch, to get me out and about, especially when times when I don't want to. So it's good fun. So every time your name pops up on my phone, I'm like, yes, it's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, that's how you always make me smile.
Oh, hurts.
Yeah, kind of piggybacking off of that, I very similar. You are such an inclusive person. It doesn't matter what stock of background someone comes from, or what they bring to the table, or what their status is, or experience level. None of that matters to you. And
sorry, I'm a little bit snobby about some things, but I haven't discussed those
in terms of
publicly.
And I say this as because we've met up at a few different improv festivals over the years, and you are always just open-armed to everyone, and such grace and kindness. Not just kindness, but there's an acceptance, because when someone does something to another person, that person can receive that gift in kindness, but you don't just receive that gift in kindness. You create a space for everyone to feel as comfortable as possible when they're around you. And I've always loved and appreciated that about you. Also, you're really fucking funny too.
I'm embarrassed.
Good.
Wow. Yeah, that's really nice. It's funny. Like sometimes I'm really great at taking compliments, and other times I'm just like, oh, man.
Stop it.
It's like it depends on like how I feel, like how much I believe it, right? For compliments, like how much does this ring true for me?
Oh, here's another one. So this is something that people say about me a lot, and I think it also applies to you, Dominica. You are an excellent hugger.
Oh,
True.
Like,
True.
right?
True.
Your embraces make you feel loved, and that's very meaningful to me.
Mm-hmm.
wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Actually, just to piggy off that, I actually agree, and I have an instance where this actually was true. Last time, Dominica, you and I met, remember we met at a play,
Yes.
and it's a bit of a drive for me.
Mm-hmm.
Not that bad, about 25, 30 minutes, give or take. And I remember I was waiting in my car, and obviously I was kind of like slumped over a little bit. I saw you, you gave me a hug, and you actually cracked my back. And I was like, oh, that's
Really?
so good. Thank you. And you didn't even do it, but you're like, oh, I'm so sorry. And you're like, oh.
Look at me. I didn't even remember like cracking your back like that. Oh, I'm you know, there are people in my life that I just feel really genuinely glad to see. And I don't feel like I'm like that with everyone. So Mike, if it seems like I am, great, but like I'm not.
Well,
I'm not
I
like
mean,
that
I
with
can't
everyone.
speak to every
But-
aspect of your life, but
Sure.
from what
From what
I've
you've seen.
seen, whenever I'm around you, I mean, I'm an asshole to some people. I'm the hero of my own story, which by default means I'm the villain of somebody else's story, right? For
Mhm.
anyone who's ever been in a relationship, there's a winner and a loser.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And it's all perspective. So I am somebody else's villain, but I hope that doesn't make me a bad person.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, villains have their 3D kind of arcs, don't they? So
that's right.
why
No,
Yeah.
I love a good villain arc as well. Like, okay, so we were talking about Demon Slayer earlier off stream. And so one of the things I do like about Demon Slayer is that they give all of the villain demons that get slayed like interesting backstories as they're dying. And it's like, oh man, like make me like this character now.
I know. I mean, to be fair, it's very much a Japanese trope, isn't it? Whenever, let's say, not just a villain, but anyone, a side character, whatever, just as they're about to die, they go flashback to when they're a kid. Then you're just going, all right, and they have like 20 minutes about their backstory. They come back to the real time. They go, and then that's it.
All right, I'm going to answer this question about both of you two now. So for Mike, I mean, we met back in 2016. So for me, like that first meeting of you, that festival at Hawaii Improv Festival, Improvaganza, every time I encountered you, I just felt like an instant connection, right? It just like, you know, you we did the film noir improv movie scene, like, and I didn't know anybody else in the team. Like I was just visiting from San Francisco, and we had people from all over the place, but Mike directed it, and he just made everyone feel like at home, and it just felt like so much fun to work with him. And then I remember like at I think it was probably the after party as well, and just getting to sit with you. And again, like you mentioned the hugs, I'm like, you're a good hugger too. So just feeling like that comfort of sitting with you, and just, yeah, I felt like, you know, this is one of my people, right? And for Sharad, every time you send me a reel on Instagram, I'm just like, oh, like, because like, no, I love it. I love that you do, because I don't usually get those kinds of messages from people. So when you started consistently doing it, it's like, oh, this is nice that you were reaching out and extending friendship in that way, because it's what's called pebbling nowadays, right? That's what they call it. And like I had maybe one person that I would occasionally share reels with, and that was it. Like, so when you started doing it, it's like, oh, it was nice. Like anytime that I feel like someone is making an effort to extend friendship to me, makes me feel like warm and fuzzy inside.
Aww.
Yeah.
I hope my whole face is.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah. No, it's nice. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't feel like we don't often tell people directly how much they mean to us, I think. And like those moments of, oh, this meant a lot to me that you did this for me, or that you were this way. I had, like, this is making me think, like, this past weekend, the person who I consider like my best friend in the entire world, we've been friends since like 2001. And she, for maybe the first time ever, described me as her BFF. And it hit me really hard once she like emphasized the weight of that, because I had always, like, even though I'd considered her my best friend for so long, I didn't feel like it was reciprocal to the same extent. I didn't think that she saw me in the same way, right? And so I'm just like, holy shit. And then I was like reflecting. I was like, hang on, have I ever told her that I consider her my best friend? Like, I don't know. So like there was some back and forth about that. Just I was like, I got really emotional. I was like, oh my God, shit, do I just not say those things to people that really mean a lot to me? But like, she's been my go-to person, that anytime I've had something really troubling in my life that I've needed to vent about, she's been one of two people that will be my first go-to people that I'll go to and just like vent to. So yeah, it was very heartwarming when that, I was like, gosh, like I read the message at like 5 a.m. but like not my actual wake up times. Like sometimes I'll wake up at 5 a.m. because I need to use the bathroom, and then I'll check my messages and then go back to sleep. And so it was in like that window of notifications. And so I read it. I was like, as my brain was processing, it really hit me, and I started crying before I could go back to sleep. So yeah.
You jogged something in my brain about like getting up in the middle of the night, use the bathroom, check your messages, go back to sleep. Does anyone else suffer from checking your messages in the middle of the night and then removing the notification? Like if you click on the text, then you don't have that little blue dot, that notification text anymore. And then the next day when you really wake up, like for real, you never respond to the message.
No, because I don't remove the notification.
I do that all the time, and I just forget to message people back, and I'm terrible at it. So if anyone is
so if I ever not hear from you, then I was like, oh, it's because Mike probably read my message at 3 a.m. So.
And I hate that I do that. But I don't, at that hour, I don't have any wherewithal to actually put the notification back on the text. So.
See, well, that's why I read it in the, my drop down of the notifications rather than clicking on it.
Yeah.
One of the things I'll say, because I use Pokemon Sleep at night.
What's that?
So Pokemon Sleep is a game that you play while you're asleep. Like it tracks your sleep, right? And so if you click into something else while it's running, then it would cut short your sleep cycle, right? So I can only like flip down the notification things to read stuff, and then I flip back up. So like that's why I don't reply to anything on my phone. If I'm really desperate to reply to something that I read in my thing, I will actually get up out of my bed and go into my computer and reply to it on my computer at like
you
5,
only
5
reply
a.m.
to text messages on your computer.
No, well, it wouldn't be a text. No, I like Facebook messages and stuff.
Oh, really? Huh.
No, while if it's at that time of day, because I don't want to interrupt Pokemon sleep.
Priorities. I like it.
Because I got to keep the sleep tracking up. Because the more my Snorlax sleeps, the more points I get for my Pokemon.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I would like to offer some stories about Sharad and how you have made me smile, but we've only spent a grand total of 3 hours and now approximately
Yeah.
20 minutes with each
Yeah.
other. So I'm just gonna say you were just a lovely human. I really enjoyed our previous live stream where we got to hang out, and you just like sometimes you can tell when you speak to someone for the first time or whatever, that they are just a real, genuine, pure, good person. And I think that's you, sir.
That's very sweet of you. Thank you.
It's very true, though.
Oh. I'm,
Compliment, please.
yeah, please tell me
Compliments.
more. Tell me more. Well, yeah. One thing I really like about you, Mike, is like, yeah, you're very outgoing. You're very positive, and you're cool, man. So yeah, it's always cool to get to know new people. So hopefully, this will be the beginning of a very, very good long friendship. So yeah, no worries on that front.
You've always got a spare bed to stay in. This is
Oh,
our
thank
office
you.
right now. It is a bit disheveled because we're breaking out the Christmas decorations, but I will give you a very
Yeah, let's
brief
have a look.
tour. So here's like all the toy collection.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's quite extensive. Here's my wife's desk. She works from here every day. There's our the memorials for two dead cats on the wall,
Oh,
and there's our spare bed right there.
With
So
a
if
lot of
you
stuff on it right now.
mhm.
God damn, I need to go to New York. Man, and if I was not unemployed. No, that was something that I wanted to see in New York recently. I think was it Daniel Day Kim that was doing a play there, or was he doing it
really?
in LA? I think
Yeah,
so.
he was. He was doing a
Yeah,
play called Yellowface.
it sounded
Oh, wow.
amazing. I would have loved to have gone there to see that, but unemployment. I'm like, probably can't do that right now. So,
This is
Oh, what cute.
Brazos,
Oh, cute kitty. Mm.
Mr. Fluffball.
all right. Well, I'm going to read the next question card that I dug up from the life section, which I think is a great follow up for the question that we just had, as we were like getting to know each other and stuff as well. This is just it's fun. Let's see what we come up with. What are 3 places in the world you want us to visit together? Where should the 3 of us travel together?
I want you both to come to New York because this is my favorite city on the entire planet. My day job, I work as a flight attendant. I've been all over the world. I've seen maybe not everything. I've seen a lot. And New York is my favorite city on the entire planet. And there's so much to do here, so many fun, iconic things, but also a lot of non-iconic things. And yeah, just there's a lot here to just explore.
Yeah, I think New York would be perfect. I was only in New York, I think, for not for very long, less than a week, and I remember my friend and I, Tori, like everyone was saying, "Okay, guys, be careful." You know what they say about New York, like like don't look anyone in the eye. The rats are bigger than you, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. Like yeah, and it's going to be a hassle and what have you. But when we went, it was literally like a dream. Where I remember we booked an Airbnb when we went and we found this building, had to climb up like 10 flights of stairs, so massive cardio. I met these 2 wonderful girls, and we just ended up just having like an amazing night out. The entire time we were there, we went to MoMA, and then we went to a few shows, and it was just like this amazing thing. The food was great. Like we went to this one diner, I remember, where they would sing to us.
Oh, that's called Stardust.
There you go. Okay, so you know that one, yeah. And like, so it was just so much fun, and I could feel like we only kind of scratched the surface of what we could have done. And obviously, you know probably better than us, Mike, about how New York's got like so many things to do, see. So I think New York would be great.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been there a couple of times, and I always love my trips. And it's such a walkable city as well. I love walking around the city. Like I walked my first time there. I walked, I think, from like Central Park all the way down Broadway to the south, like the tip of Manhattan.
That's a regular thing that people do. Like people will start.
It's so far, right? It's really far.
It's 13 miles from tip to tip, from one end of the island to the other end. So, like, in Broadway goes the entire span of Manhattan, from the most southern tip to the most northern tip. So, yeah, sometimes people just take the train all the way up to Inwood, which is the most northern neighborhood of Manhattan, and then just get out of Broadway and just walk all the way down.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
it'll take all day.
But so many, and like I just found like really interesting things. I remember coming across like this little a comic shop that sold like figurines and stuff as well. I remember buying some Smurf figurines for my collection there. And I was like, ooh, really good for my
depending on what neighborhood you were in. That would have been Forbidden Planet, Midtown Comics, or Toy Tokyo.
How close are all of those to Broadway?
Forbidden Planet is on Broadway.
Okay, it was not directly on Broadway. It was like off the. This was like 2004. Okay, so like it might be a store that's no longer in business.
Could be.
As well.
It could have been. Yeah, it could have been.
So that's a long time ago. Yeah. I would also propose all of us getting together in Kuala Lumpur as well. I always love just the idea of, because I spent so long living there, I just want to bring all of my friends to Malaysia and show off all of the amazing things and introduce like my friends to each other in person in Malaysia. It's like I keep trying to do that.
I really enjoy. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, and it's like getting to do improv there as well. Like I want to take some of my improv friends just to do improv in Malaysia. There's not a lot like the improv that is there is more short form stuff, and I really want even while I lived there, I really wanted to do long form improv in Malaysia. So I was like, let's bring it. Yeah.
Beautiful.
I think Malaysia is definitely ready for it because I think our market's so unsaturated. I think people are kind of desperate for entertainment, and who knows? Maybe the next time you come over, set something up. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yep, that's. I'll try. I'm sure I've got other friends that are interested. Well, I can hopefully drag into doing it with me at some point.
Dragon? You've got a dragon?
Wait, yes, there is the one from Shang-Chi right behind me, right there. There you go. There's a dragon right there. All right. Do we want another question?
Yes,
go for
it. Which category this time?
Was there a random auction?
Yes, there was a random one. Let me pick a random one. Ooh, this is a good one. I don't know if I can answer this. What did I say? What's something you've never admitted to anyone else?
Oh, I will not. There's only one thing I've never admitted, and that is not going to be revealed tonight, my friend.
It's a little bit too vulnerable.
That is a question I think about often. Not often, but from time to time. And
for legal purposes, can you not discuss it?
Not even my wife knows.
Yeah.
Like,
Fair. Sharad, do you have something that you feel like you've never admitted to anyone that you could admit on a public live stream?
I don't know. I mean, I can't think of anything. Not off the top of my head. I'm a pretty open book, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's how I feel as well. Like I feel like everything that is a secret I've at least shared with at least one person
Hmm.
in my life. So I'm not sure that that I have anything that's.
Yeah, I don't think I have one deep dark secret per se. I don't really have one. I'm pretty open.
God damn, this is
Yeah.
why I need to have these kinds of conversations with people who don't open up about their
Yeah.
experience.
I'm trying to think of like I've got to have another one that I'm not embarrassed by. It's just that it's just that one thing, and I'm not going to give any clues. No, like I'm not even going to beat around the bush. It's just one of those things that I don't like about myself. But I also am not going to change anytime soon, ever. And it is what it is, and
I'm
it's
just like,
embarrassing, and I don't like it.
no, that's fair. I'm just thinking about like, so you're just making me think about like all of the really embarrassing stuff that I admitted about myself in my memoir as I was writing. It was like, I know this does not paint me in a good light, but it paints a more broader picture of my story. So let's share it and see how people react to it. All right, I'll pick a different random question then. Let's see if I can. All right, come on. In this stack that's not so. What's one thing you want to do together that we've never done before? And if you don't want to answer it about like us as a group of people, pick somebody in your life that you have something that you really want to do with them, and describe that.
I think for me, I mean, since both of you seem so artistically inclined and what have you, I'd love to go to MoMA with you too. You know, the Museum of like, yeah, and just check it out. I think that's something that we'd all really enjoy. I was there once for, I think they were just having an open day, so my friend and I went, and it was so much fun. And you know, I like to think of myself as a cultured young man, but I know I'm pretty much all cultured swine. But yeah, so it's good fun and it's cool. So yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe if next time I'm in New York, that'd be something that we could do. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. I will say one thing about me as a museum goer. I am all in for the artsy fartsy admiration for about 20 to 30 minutes. After that, I start wisecracking and I make fun of everything that I see. So that is either a positive or a negative to your to what you're looking for.
Just depends on what you're looking for. Yeah. I could spend all day in museums and yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely more serious about the art that I will go and see, but there are probably times you're just like, really? So I don't know. I think I'd be fine with you cracking the wise jokes and stuff. I've been to MoMA as well in New York, and when I was there, I was most disappointed because the piece of art that I wanted to see the most, Salvador Dali's most famous melting clocks painting, was not there at the time because it was on tour somewhere else, and I was like, God damn you! But yeah.
So Kim and I, whenever we have an opportunity and we go somewhere, if there's an opportunity, we like to go ziplining together. Ooh. So I think wherever the three of us find each other in, I would, whether it's Kuala Lumpur, New York does not have good ziplining.
I have the best place. I did ziplining in Thailand, and it was a great location. So I would recommend us going to zipline there.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I've heard Costa Rica has some of the best ziplining in the world, but again, I've never been. So, been to Honduras, ziplined in Honduras. That was cool. Nearly broke my leg, but it's fun.
Okay, I would pick. It's one thing that I would like to do together that we've never done before. I love playing tabletop games. So I think it would be awesome just to have you guys come over to my place and pick any number of the games that I have on my shelf and just have a day of playing tabletop games together. Yeah. Really
I have a
random stuff. Like
closet.
I back them on Kickstarter. So like I have like a whole bunch of ones that
Oh, wow.
people have not heard of. That I personally I've also never played before because I'm just like I did so much like buying of games during the pandemic that I didn't have time to play them.
We have a closet full of games that we've never played. And tabletop games are not cheap. There's a difference between board games and tabletop games. Board games are cheap. You're talking Clue, you're talking Monopoly, you're talking $20. Tabletop games, not cheap.
And that's not including the expansions as well, right? So
right. Well, I'm using tabletop games in the broad term, which encompasses all kinds of games that you would play on the tabletop. So, board games, card games, those, multi-day games, all of those kinds of things. So, yeah, whatever that floats everyone's boat that we're all into.
What's everyone's favorite tabletop game right now? Maybe not favorite, but like one that you just love to play.
I really enjoy the cooperative game Forbidden Island. Are you familiar with that one?
I have owned it for a number of years and we have never played it. There's also Forbidden Desert too, right?
Yeah, so I also have Forbidden Desert, Forbidden Sky, and Forbidden Jungle. Ooh. So, and Forbidden Island is the easiest one. And I still haven't beaten Forbidden Jungle, and I've played it a couple of times with my kids. And I think I don't remember if we were able to beat Forbidden Desert. Forbidden Sky, I think we were able to defeat. That one's set in space.
It's like an escape room, basically, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do Cards Against Humanity count as a tabletop game?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's a classic one, isn't it? That and which one was the other one? It was, ironically, it was called Pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think that was a good one. I think I played it for about a few hours once with two of my housemates, and I just got traumatized after that. I was like, I'm good.
It stuck with you. Yeah. I have a lot of games that are in the style of Cards Against Humanity, but with different themes to them. So I've got a couple of them behind me, actually. New Phone Who Dis.
I've seen that on the shelf.
It's really fun. First time I played it, I just it's meant to be a 3+ player game, but I played it with just one person on my birthday, during the pandemic, and we were just going through and just reading things. It was so fun. Slide into my DMs. So similar, but more sexy. Okay. There's one called Charty Party, which is you have to do it's if you like data analysis charts and stuff, it's putting the X and Y labels based on what the prompt is. It's really fun. Yeah.
Some of my favorites right now. Has anyone ever played Betrayal at House on the Hill?
Mm-mm.
I've heard of House on the Hill, but not Betrayal of House on the Hill.
So yeah, those are two very different things. Betrayal at House on the Hill, it's a cooperative game. So you're all working together as a team. You're all investigators, and there's some kind of mystery in this house. But there's no set game board. Instead, you have these tiles and you build the house as you walk through it. So the tiles will connect to each other with doorways and whatever, but the map of the house will change every single time you play the game because you're always making choices to put the tiles in different places. There's 50 different outcomes to the game.
Wow.
Yeah. And so the basic idea is that we're all investigators. You go through the house, and depending on what rooms you go into, you will trigger different events basically until you trigger the one event that is paramount to the entire game. And depending on how that event gets triggered, then you open up your booklet that has 50 different outcomes. You flip to that page, and then the story begins.
Wow.
And then what?
Sorry, like this reminds me of that this thing I remember reading in the '90s where you have this adventure book where you make a choice, turn to page so and so
Oh
forth.
yeah, choose your own adventure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, those are so popular in the States. Loved
Yep.
them. But yeah, and so like whoever triggers the main event, they then become the villain and have to like remove themselves from the table. They have to go into another room with a separate booklet, and they have a separate objective than what the rest of the players have. And so now we don't know what our objective is going into the game until that event gets triggered, and then we have to all flip to the same page number. There's like the villain book and the hero book, and you don't know what your objective is going to be. Maybe you have to kill the villain. Maybe you have to escape the house. Maybe the house is now filled with bats and you have to kill all the bats before you get killed. It's this whole, like, there's so many different ways to play this game. It's always different. I love it.
There's a YouTube show called Tabletop. I think it's hosted by Will Wheaton. Yeah, I love that show because I think it's hilarious, and I haven't watched it in a very, very long time. Have you guys watched it at all recently?
Not recently, but whenever I get a new game, sometimes I'll like check it out just to see how it's played.
Mm.
Yeah. Next question.
Right. Yeah. What theme do you want this time from the intimacy deck?
Dealer's choice. Dealer's choice.
Dealer's choice. Let's go with. I think this was. Is that live? Past. God damn. All right. Past. Ooh, this is a good one. Tell me something you believed as a child that makes you laugh now.
I have two.
How dark can we go? Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
I have two. They both stem from my brother lying to me when I was a child. And my brother would make up these like erroneous lies that were so ridiculous. Like, how in the world can I be so gullible? And well, one I probably won't tell you because it doesn't. If you weren't there to see the historical structure in my hometown, it doesn't make any sense. But it basically, there was like this pillar. It was like an old bridge pillar that came up out of the river. That when they tore the bridge down, they just left that support pillar and never took it down. So my brother told me that that wasn't a support pillar, that was a chimney from a house that slid into the river, and everyone in that house died. They all and so I was terrified of all the houses that lived like along a bank of a river. And I was like, oh no, those houses are going to slide into the river. Everyone's going to die. Second one was my brother told me, and this has a little, like, you can understand why a child would believe this. He told me that our teeth are made of ivory, just like an elephant's tusks. And so my entire life, I never had any reason to question that. Like, elephants have ivory tusks that come out. They're similar to teeth. Why wouldn't our teeth also be made from ivory? So I was dating my high school girlfriend, and we were at her parents' house. They were getting ready for a garage sale. So we're out on the back porch cleaning these chairs off. And we're talking about money and being short on money. And I said, well, hey, at the end of the day, it's always a good thing to know that if you really are that hard up for money, you can always sell your teeth. And she looks at me and she goes, what? And I said, because you know how like your teeth are made of ivory. She goes, what? And that's how I found out that teeth are not made of ivory.
Oh,
Wow.
wow. Oh, that's great.
Wow. Do you have something, Sharad?
Yeah. So, I'm not proud to admit this. Okay. So,
That's what makes it a good answer.
Yeah.
okay. Well, okay. So I'm a huge fan of professional wrestling ever since I was a kid. It just seemed like this larger than life thing. You see these mythical heroes battling each other in amazing shape, doing incredible things. And there was one storyline which I still remember in the 90s where there was this wrestler who recently retired. There was a wrestler called The Undertaker, and he was like this mythical, like undead caretaker character. And there was a storyline where, oh god, it just about how he burned down his family's house, and his brother was scarred. He didn't know he thought he died, but then he came back looking for vengeance. And I remember just being sat there, like just going, like, "Oh my god, he's here and he's here!" And they were like choke slamming through tables and tombstone pile drivers, and I was just like, and that was my first like glimpse into the quote unquote soap opera in wrestling. And I was just like, I was enthralled. And looking back on it now, if I could see myself, I would just be like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" But I loved it. And even to this day, I still watch it. So, but looking back on it now, it was a little bit cringy. So,
Wait, wrestling isn't real?
apparently.
Thanks, Sharon.
Yeah. Sorry to blow your bubble,
ruin
yeah.
the magic.
I know.
I felt like I had to rack my brain for this because I don't have like, a lot of my childhood memories have like gone blank on me. But I guess probably just this came up for me as Sharad was telling his story. I guess probably the idea that I could like meet and marry a celebrity, because that was kind of what I wanted, right? Like I was like, oh man, because like I was not a popular kid. I didn't have a lot of friends, so like I was probably more of that parasocial kind of, like before there was even a widely spoken about term for people developing these kinds of relationships with celebrities, that parasocial kind of thing. It's like, like people that I was like, oh, I admire this person on TV. It would be cool to meet and marry them. Like that's such a stupid thing. Sure. But yeah, otherwise I would have said this is more sad than something I would laugh at, but the idea that I could be anything that I wanted. Like as a child, I believed I could be anything I wanted, and now I'm like, yeah, that's not true.
Define anything, because like if you're talking, so here's a fun little story about little Mike Brown. When I was a kid, I wanted to become a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle so bad, and I was convinced that if I pray and ask God to turn me into a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle by the time I wake up the next morning, like that would, and it wasn't like, dear God, please turn me into a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. It was like, listen, bub, I got a bone to pick with you. You created me human. How dare you? Now listen. If you don't turn me into a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle by 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, I'm never talking to you again.
Wow.
I did that.
Wow.
I said that to God.
Look, to be fair, Mike, you do have the freedom to be a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle in cosplay form. So you could still live out that dream.
Live your truth.
You just wouldn't be a literal... You could be cast as a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. They're still making movies sometimes.
They are.
So
I took a voice acting class from the guy who did the voice of Splinter in the 2004 Ninja Turtle show.
Wow.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
I got connections.
Yeah, there you go. See? There you go.
Who's your favorite turtle?
Michelangelo.
Raphael for me.
Yeah, interesting. Raphael's
Why?
more the most depressing one.
Because he was
I
the most badass one, and he took no shit, and he was always, even though it came back to bite him, he was his own guy. Because obviously
Mhm.
with the others, they're all like, we're family, and we do everything together. Raphael was like, fuck you guys, I'm gonna do whatever I want to. So that kind of, as a kid, I was
Yeah.
like, are you kidding me? This guy's a badass. Walked around in a trench coat, eating pizza.
no, he's pretty cool.
Yeah.
For me,
He's-
I think it's always been a tie between Michelangelo and Donatello, and if I had to pick one out of the two, it would be Donatello, primarily because purple is my favorite color. Like,
Well,
that's
you
it.
strike me as a Donatello type as well.
Yeah, it's the brains.
So, like
I love how
Michael,
smart he is.
I wrote and performed a one-man show about how the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles influenced me as a child and kind of set me on like, I don't want to say the right path, but like they gave me a good foundation for moral values and to become a decent human being. And so I broke it down in like 4 different basic categories. Like Leonardo is the embodiment of leadership, right? What does that mean to be a leader? How do you sacrifice for the greater good, right? Because that's what a leader does.
Mhm.
Raphael, his whole thing is putting your emotions in check, not letting your emotions get the better of you. Donatello, again, is the importance of education and thinking through a problem and not giving up.
Mhm.
Michelangelo is the embodiment of everyone. Uh, Everyone always tells you that in order to do a good job, you have to be serious about it. And he proves otherwise. He's
Yeah.
a major goofball, but he's a master at his craft.
Yeah.
No one can nunchuck like he can. And that includes Splinter. And Splinter taught him how to nunchuck. Um, and he's a true master at his craft, but he's an insane goofball. So don't take life so seriously.
Yeah, I think my only beef with the Turtles is like, all they ate was pizza, but they're completely shredded. Other
That's
than
your
that,
only beef?
Look, turtles could have like a completely different metabolism from us.
Maybe. Okay.
You know?
I
And it's
remember
all
thinking, I was like, it's
fantasy
not
fiction.
working.
Whatever.
Also, how do you get your front shell to be shredded?
I
I don't know.
So that's just reminding me of so none of us said Leonardo, who is obviously the leader, and it made me think about how, yeah, I'm usually like the leader character in these kinds of team dynamics is usually like my least favorite. I feel the same way about Cyclops in the X-Men. I'm just like, I hate Cyclops. And I'm like, now I'm like, I wonder what it is about that makes me just not like leaders. There must be something deep down that's just like, maybe it's just I don't like hierarchies. I think everyone should be equal. Maybe that's what
Well, I
it
mean,
is.
I don't think it's that, because if you look at it, it's really interesting you mentioned Cyclops, because if you think about it, Cyclops and Leo aren't that different. They're really not.
Also, Captain America.
Well, I never followed Captain America in my childhood, so I'm not thinking about that. The movie was great, and that made me read comics. So, but like my perception of him was like he's like bland character, so I didn't even bother like checking him out or anything.
Fair.
I don't know, because like, well, I mean, of those two, of Leo and Cyclops, they pretty much are the same character. They see the master, the leader, as like the surrogate father, and then they have to kind of look after the rest of the team as little brothers and sisters, and they put themselves up. Not that they want to strive to be the best version of they can, but then you can tell, like, they're kind of holding on by the strings. There's some madness going on just behind it. And I don't know, because if you look at it, like, for example, with Cyclops, he's really, really uptight, and he doesn't get along well with everyone. Whereas with Leo, it's no different. He's always fighting with Raphael. Cyclops is always fighting with Wolverine. It's the same thing. But
sorry, it just clicked for me here now. I'm wondering if part of it was self-hate. Like I'm seeing myself in these characters. Because I was the older sibling in my family. And so I felt like I had to take on that kind of leadership of, or, living up to certain expectations of, at least my mom. So maybe that's what I was like, I don't want to be like that. I want to be one of the fun characters.
Well, there's an onus associated with it, right? You're the decision maker. And yes, there's a hierarchy aspect to it, but we see this reflected in almost every stage in our existence. You go to the army, you have a leader of the platoon, a leader of the this, of the you go to a business, a corporation, it's the same structure, right? And so I think there's two different types of leaders. Maybe three. There's the leader who wants to be a leader for the praise of being a leader. And then you have the leader who leads because that's the noble thing to do, and it's what everybody else around you needs. Not because they want to be the leader, but because everybody else, like, you need it. And then you have the reluctant leader. And I would put Wolverine into this category. As even in the comics, when Cyclops, after he killed Xavier and he just basically lost his mind, Wolverine did not want to be the leader of the X-Men, but if he didn't do it, nobody else would.
Yeah.
Look at the movie Logan. He wants to be left the fuck alone. Get out of here. I just want to live my life. I just want to do my own thing. And he sees a problem that people, like real people, are going to get really hurt. Innocent bystanders are going to get really hurt if he doesn't intervene. And he reluctantly steps in. And I think that's the reluctant leader that I am more so attracted to. Because I see a lot of that in myself as well. Like, I'm a good leader.
I feel the same way.
I know this about myself. I'm a good leader, but I also don't want that responsibility because it seems like a shitty perspective on me. I don't want people thinking that I'm like I can do this for you.
Right.
Leader. Yeah.
No, I feel the same way. Like, even before you labeled the reluctant leader, I'm like, that was the leader that I was thinking of in the back of my mind. I'm like, that's the one that I identify with the most as well, because I would love to get behind other people and just go along with what other people do. But the kinds of things that I want to do, nobody else is taking on the leadership role to do those things. I'm like,
right.
I guess I'll do it. Like, that's why I created as many improv shows that I did. Like, those shows wouldn't have happened if it hadn't been for the fact that I was like, you know what, I want to do this thing. I'll find people who want to do this thing with me. Same with these live streams. I'm like, well, this is something I want to do. I'll
and now
find
look at the body of work that you've created.
Right. Exactly.
It's incredible.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, that's the thing. It's very tricky because it's always those characters in leadership positions that can put people off. But at the same time, do you two remember there was this one? I want to say Disney. It was this show called Gargoyles. Did you ever watch that or hear of it?
I'm familiar with it, but I don't think I ever watched
started
it.
aging out. Of Gargoyles when it really started becoming.
Yeah, in the 90s, right? And I was always into Goliath, the leader, because he was just someone that was just cool, had that deep voice. Yeah, I think it was Keith David actually voiced him, so that helped. But he had such this amazing backstory and tragic as well. And the fact that he never moaned about having to look after his entire clan and move into a new future. I think he was the exception of the rule. So who knows? Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's just the fact that I have beef with characters who kind of have issues of surrogacy with the mentor, and they assume that position. So that kind of puts me off.
Interesting. Next question.
Next question. All right. What category have we not done yet? What's this one?
What was like wasn't there an intimacy?
Yeah, you want to do the intimacy
Question?
one, or you want to do relationship?
Either or, I'm good.
Yeah. Let's do intimacy. Let's see where this takes us.
All right, all right.
And then we'll
Intimacy
do
was the one that was
relationship
the what was the intimacy one that we asked last time? Was the
Who is your
What-
daddy?
what turns you on? I think was the one.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that I think that was
Let's
the.
talk about sex.
And I
baby.
just pulled the same card from the deck. That's like that wasn't in the middle.
Let's talk about you and me.
Okay, what's your favorite time of day for sex?
Oh,
Morning.
Morning. What did you say, Mike?
Nighttime.
Interesting.
I think for me, I'll say morning as well. It's right as you're waking up, and so I'm just thinking back to the most recent time that I was doing it. Yeah, like waking up my partner and making him fully interested in. Yeah, that's great. That's fun.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like, morning nookie to start off the day. Can't go wrong.
It's too much work.
Too much work in the morning.
Work, you guys.
You just too tired in the morning, or what is it?
Well, I mean, there's that, but also like that is the last thing on my mind when I wake up. And I will give you a story. I think I've told you, Dominica. I don't know if maybe we talked about this on the live stream last time. I genuinely don't know. But Kim and I are going through and have gone through various IVF cycles to try and get pregnant. So there is nothing more off-putting to me than having to first thing in the morning wake up at like 7 o'clock in the morning, go straight to the bathroom to rub one off into a cup so that we can hightail it down to the hospital and get them to clean it and then inseminate an egg with it. So there's a certain amount of pressure that came with that, which is like, there was this one morning I was in the bathroom for like 45 minutes and Kim was knocking on the door like, we gotta go. We have an appointment. And I'm like, I can't. Right. So there was that aspect, but also I'm not in the mood for it in the mornings. Like it's physical exercise and I don't like exercising in the morning.
I don't like it. I don't.
No, that's fair. Like, I appreciate you diving in deep into that. So I think that's it's
I don't mind talking about that stuff, but when it comes to my deepest, darkest secret, that goes to the grave.
Right. Sharad, is there a particular reason that you prefer mornings?
It's a nice way to start off the day, isn't it? It's great. And it's just like, I feel like when you do that, you kind of energize to kickstart off your day. So you know how some people like to do morning yoga? That's what it is for me. Really. So, I mean, if you think about it biologically, it gets your body moving, gets your heart pumping, and it's good fun. So why not?
Yeah,
always good.
Yeah,
fair play.
Yeah.
For you, Dominica?
Sorry, for me?
For you?
I said morning and just
right, but explain your answer.
Well, I mean, in particular, just like as I said, going back to the most recent partner that I had, I just really enjoyed waking him up in that particular fashion. I don't know how much detail you want, and then getting him less like super turned on and it was I don't know, maybe an ego boost to be able to do it in that kind of
interesting.
Like, maybe I don't know. It's like I can't just really describe it because but yeah, like Sharad says, like good start to the day puts you in a good mood for the rest of the day. So yeah,
respect.
You know how everyone says if you go to the gym in the morning, you feel energized for the whole day. Same thing. So there you go.
It's like here's some great reassurance that my here's some great reassurance that my partner wants to be here with me, and if I don't get to see him for the rest of the day because he's going off or whatever, then at least I know we had this moment together before we had to go off and do our own things.
Next.
Yeah. Before I ask the next question, I noticed we do have a couple of viewers at the moment, so you do not have to say anything in the chat if you don't want to. However, if you would like to ask us a question and for us to answer, you are welcome to do so in the chat.
This is my reaction to people actually being in the chat right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but if you don't want to, that's fine. Thank you for tuning in. It's great to have people listening. All right. So then let's go with a relationship question.
You mean people actually want to listen to this drivel?
Apparently so. You know, maybe it's my dad again as one of them, but we want two of those, so it's not just my dad, right?
Well, Dominica's dad, I like to have sex at night.
We've already established that he is like fine with hearing those kinds of conversations. Yeah. Anyway.
What?
All right. Let's see. What's a good one? Ooh. Okay. How would your ex-partner of your last serious relationship describe you?
Well, as I said, I'm the villain of my, or I'm the hero of my own story, which means I'm the villain of someone else's, right?
Mm-hmm. That's why this is a great question.
Sharad, anything come to mind?
Yeah, I think one that comes to mind for me is just before I fell ill. I was with someone, and I think she actually did say, because at the time I was a writer-producer, and she was more into activism and things like that. We were very, very different. And she would often say that I'm very goal and, like goal oriented and driven. But she did say that she didn't like how I would go about doing business. Because like for example, in film, TV producing, you have to be an asshole to an extent in order that you want to, cut out all the fat, all the drama, all the nonsense. Like I've told people before, if you have an issue, come talk to me privately. We'll sort it out. No need to air any dirty laundry. But I have no issues being the bad guy in the group where I go, okay, guys, I know you're having issues X, Y, Z, but this needs to be done this time, this day for this release. And I'm happy to be the bad guy just so we can get things done. So I imagine that for her, I remember she was saying like there were times where she didn't even recognize me because obviously when I'm not working, I'm a lot more laid back, relaxed. But when I've got my producer hat on, even with my friends, I'm like, dude, let's not fuck around. Let's get this done today.
Yeah.
And yeah. So yeah.
Very helpful.
Yeah.
A helpful skill to have.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Dominica, how about you?
Before I answer this question, I would like to ask how you would define serious relationship.
That's what I was kind of wondering. Yeah.
Is it like, would you consider it serious if you felt serious about the relationship, even if it wasn't official, or would it be like, more like it's an official relationship, everyone knows about it, like blah blah blah? Because if we're going with serious relationship that everybody is aware of, it would be my marriage, and that would be a very different answer than if I was telling you about one of my other partners that was not serious in the same way, but I felt serious about them.
Well, let's go with that one. Let's table the marriage thing.
Great. Okay.
Yeah. We want to keep it light.
Yeah. Well, okay. Maybe I'll answer this from two different perspectives, depending on because my last one, I felt serious about them, but the only label that I could give the relationship was situationship, because it I didn't feel like he was as serious about things as I was. And I feel like I need to think more about how he would describe me, because I'm not sure at the moment. So the previous one before that, which was much longer, but nobody or very, very few people knew that we were a thing. We're still like, he's someone I consider one of my two best friends. So I mentioned my other best friend earlier. He's my other one that I go to for everything, for venting. Like I vent to even more often than my other friend. And I would say that I'm probably one of his favorite people in the entire world. So even though like we both mutually decided that we shouldn't be together, he still values me, in such high regard for all the aspects of who I am, right? So, he thinks that I'm talented, that I have a lot going for me, and I'm really brave and strong for everything that I've gone through in my life. All of those great things. So yeah, I need some time to think about the other one though, because it did not end well, and I don't know how he would describe me nowadays. Because I've done some crazy shit with regards to him, so he might. I don't know how I would interpret how he sees me now, whether it's accurate or not.
Yeah. There's a few that jump out to me. I'll go with and I'll say her first name. I won't say her last name. Her name is Adrian. And
Adrian!
And she's an actor, stage actor, not film actor. And yes, there is a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Adrian was a ball of fun. But I feel like she had some unrealistic expectations of what a relationship should be. It was the kind of thing that, and we dated twice. And just before we broke up the first time, I noticed that there was this thing going on where if I didn't respond to a text in what she decided was a reasonable period of time, then I was now in the hot seat. Why? Like, how? What are you doing that you can't respond to a text? I don't know.
Classic
I'm on an
anxious
airplane.
anxious attachment reactions.
So there was that. So we broke up, and then she ended up moving to New York because we dated long distance. And she moved to New York, and she actually ended up moving to an apartment very close to where I lived. It was purely coincidental. She didn't.
Dun, 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 dun,
I know,
dun,
right?
dun.
So we got back together, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I don't know why we broke up. Like, she's a really fun person," and it was true. Like, we really had some really goofy, wild, silly times together, and it was wonderful. And then, and again, like that anxious attachment that you spoke of, that started kind of rearing its head again. And it really came to a head when my brother had broken his spine in 5 places.
Oh gosh.
And his wife at the time was like 6 months pregnant, 7 months pregnant, something like that.
Man.
So she couldn't really do much of anything to help him. So I had to basically kind of drop what I was doing, take an entire week off of work to go down to DC and stay with my brother and like help him. And it was.
Sorry, is this when you had to drop going to Comic-Con as well that you told us about last time?
No,
Oh, it's a
that's
different
when my
one.
brother
Another
almost
one.
died.
Okay.
Yeah, no, my brother.
So,
that was 2 years ago.
Dude, your brother's been through a lot.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah. That's a whole other podcast episode. But yeah, no. So we broke his back, and I went down, and when I told Adrian about it, we had plans that Friday night, which is like the next day or 2 days away, something like that. And she was so put out that I had to break a date with her to go down to DC and help out my brother who had a fucking broken spine. And her response to me was, well, I just believe that when you're in a relationship with someone, that person should come first. And I go,
Over family?
Yeah.
A,
Yeah.
over family. B, we're not married. C,
Mm.
my brother Boke is fucking back. Like, are you actually insane right now?
Mhm.
So how, in the spirit of the question, how does she view me?
Mhm.
I think she believes that I'm a nice guy, but I have my priorities wrong.
Wrong. But yeah, so what's coming up for me for this is like it's reminding me of how my ex-husband was with some of his partners, who, you know, he had a number of partners who had someone really close to them die, right? And he was not sympathetic at all. Like he just was like,
Ooh.
just like get over it, like pay attention to me. Why are you spending so much time grieving? Like, just like Jesus
Oh, God.
Christ, like let this person grieve. Like they let them take the time that they need. What is fucking wrong with you? Yeah, so that was what was coming up for me. I guess so yeah. I was listening to what you were saying, but I was also like as you were describing stuff, I was thinking
Oh yeah.
the other person that I mentioned, so my last serious situationship. So I was serious about him, and I didn't feel like he was serious about me. He would. One of the last things that he said to me was things like, you know, I can't give you what you need, and you know, things along the lines of clearly seeming like he didn't feel like he was worthy of me. So maybe that, I don't know if that's how he would describe me now, but at least a few months ago, he probably would have described me as someone who was too good for
And
him.
you guys are still good friends?
No, this is my other one.
Okay.
He not talking anymore. I would love
May
to
I?
have continued a friendship with him,
Yeah.
but he did not want to. Like even as friends, he just couldn't.
So from my experience, when one person says to the other, uh, I am not worthy of you, that is boy talk. That's boy code for I'm just not feeling it anymore, but I don't have the balls to tell you.
Mm.
My experience.
No,
That
I appreciate that.
that
Yeah,
could be his
it's
honest truth,
it's
but
it's something that really frustrates me. Here, like being on the receiving end of that. Like, just be fucking honest. Like, if how you're feeling, don't say
yeah.
some bullshit like that.
Mm. Agreed.
Because like my in my mind is like, well, if you think that I'm too good for you, then step up and do better. Like, don't give me that kind of bullshit answer. Yeah.
Mm. Agreed.
Next.
Next question. All right. Let's see. Is there a category that we didn't read from?
Relationships.
That was a relationship question.
That was what we just did.
Oh, I thought that was the intimacy one.
No, that was the first one.
No. Oh, that's right. That was the
Mhm.
what time of day do you like to have sex?
Yaha.
Yeah.
Yaha.
With kids, do you want to work part-time, full-time, or be a stay-at-home parent? Mike,
Stay-at-home
since
dad.
you just talked about you know, trying to have kids, it seems like
Stay-at-home dad.
you want to be a stay-at-home dad?
That would be the dream. I mean, improv is my life. Well, sorry, Kim is my life. Improv
Good
is
recovery.
life
Good
partner.
recovery. Well done.
And Kim and the cats, and then improv comes second. So the hierarchy would be Kim, cats, child. Just kidding. Kim, child, cats, and then improv. So if I had my druthers, I would just be a full-time stay-at-home dad, teach 2, 3, 4 improv corporate improv workshops a month,
Oh, cool. Okay.
do a few shows. That would suit me fine.
Yeah, I think just to piggy off that, I think as a writer, editor, I mean, I can work anywhere, really. If I had to stay at home, I mean, I can do what I'm doing and just be here. So it's not an issue. I do have an office space, but that's so I can detach myself and quote unquote be professional. But if needs be, if I'm needed at home, no problem at all. Because the good thing about being a writer is I can do it from anywhere. I've worked from on my mobile inside a car. I've done it on a train. Um, it's not an issue. So yeah, it's no issue for me.
Do you want to have kids, Shard? That would be a more broader question to answer
He
there.
says, I can work from anywhere until
I
you have
can
a
work from
toddler
anywhere.
running around.
Yeah, I don't know because I don't think that I'm ready to be a dad. 'Cause I mean, I can't even look after myself at times. I don't even know what day it is sometimes, and I can be very very clueless. So, but you know what they always say? It's like sometimes you need to be put in that moment to really step up. It makes you, kind of develop that way. But I don't know. I mean, I'm a very very cool uncle. I'm very very cool with that. Not obviously that's the same thing, but who knows? I mean, if I meet the right person, lightning strikes. Who knows?
I think that's one of the beautiful things about the 9-month pregnancy is that even if it's a surprise, you have, well, let's shave off a month for everyone to find out.
Yep.
Because sometimes you don't even know you're pregnant until
No.
6 to 8 weeks. You have no idea. So let's shave, a month off. You have like 7 to 8 months to wrap your brain around this concept of like, holy shit, I'm gonna become a parent. And like we've been going through this process for about a year and not quite a year and a half. Let's say like a year and 4 months, right? Um, and so like when it started with Kim getting pregnant spontaneously, and we're like, really? Whoa, this is, huh? How do I feel about this? And for me, at least, it definitely ebbed and flowed. Sometimes it's like, this is gonna be the coolest fucking thing to be a dad, and then other times I'm like, I'm not gonna have a life of my own. This sucks. And so you just kind of ride that wave, and fairly steadily for the past few months now, I've been on that. No, this is going to be really cool, and like we've just reprogrammed our brains. Instead of having the option of not being pregnant, which we currently are, we've already made the decision. No, 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 we're going to be parents. We don't know when,
Mhm.
but we're going to be parents, and that time really is like such a gift to kind of get yourself in the mindset to get excited. So, but also like everyone's lives are different. So, 2 years ago, I was like 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, I was dead set, 100%. Don't want
Never having
kids.
kids.
It's not going to be in the cards for me.
What about you, Tommy?
Well, I can answer this question as someone who has been through all of that because I have 2 kids. One of them is turning 18 next month. So I almost have an adult child.
That's insane.
I know. I was like, what? How is it's like January's next month. Oh my god.
Her birthday's January 6th?
No, it's not, but it's close to it.
Eesh.
Yeah. And then I have a 14-year-old. So I've been through, and I was the stay-at-home parent for the majority of their childhood. So I didn't start working until 2018 when my son was 8, I guess, or almost 8. Wait, is that? I guess that's right. Yeah.
Math.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. He was born in 2010. So that's the math. He was 18. But yeah, so I was a stay-at-home parent, and I was able to do like the writing stuff that you mentioned, Sharad. That's when I published 3 books. One of which was a novel that I wrote from scratch. The others were anthologies, so I only had short stories in them and collated other people's collections, pieces into the collections. But I find that I would have preferred to have been working, I think, or at least had that option open to me. Like, I was not able to, like, I was living in Malaysia until 2014. So, like, from the time my daughter was almost 2 until 2014, and my visa did not allow me to work in Malaysia, so I didn't really have that avenue open to me. Like, I had to be a stay-at-home parent just by default, and as a result, that kind of put me back on the career ladder. And like, it's amazing that I accomplished as much as I did after my divorce to get back into a more technical career and stuff. But it's like 3 years of work experience that I could have had been doing programming stuff years earlier, and for much longer, and been much further along in my career by then. And I felt like it was hard for me because it meant that I was financially dependent on my ex-husband, and I think that I might have ended my marriage sooner had it not been for that financial dependence. Because that's one of the things that made me stay stuck in the situation. I don't think that I want any more kids in the future. If I met another partner down the track, like, I'm still, technically able to. I'm still at the age that I could produce more children, but I don't. Unless the right person came along that made, like, I really wanted to have a child with that person, which I don't think is likely. I was open to it with my last partner, but we never had the conversation. So, it never came up. And I don't think that I would be open to it with someone else, because I've been through all of that before. And and now I feel like my life is, apart from my current unemployment, but my life is more or less back on track, and it would be like going backwards to kind of repeat the process. And I don't know that I could go through all of that again.
Cool.
So what you're saying is that you don't want to come to New York and be our night nurse?
No.
No.
Wait, are you going to pay me for it? Like, that's a very different question. But no, Spade, no, I'm like,
Sharad, do you need any night nurse experience?
So far, so good. Actually, I'm good, but you never know. We'll revise this the next time I'm stateside. So,
I hear the cats are very good at childcare. So,
yeah, you
depends which avenue of YouTube you're watching. Yeah,
not get sleep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's those early years are very exhausting. So I guess there were advantages to being a stay-at-home parent and not having to balance that with work, with all of that sleepless nights and everything, having to deal with those early years. But yeah, it definitely set me back on.
So our next door neighbors, they just had a baby 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. And the father, he was telling me that they got themselves a night nurse to come in every night and stay with the baby all night so that he and his wife can actually sleep. And I like that whole concept I never thought about before. What an incredible, because I feel like if the nights could be, if that was a shift that could be taken care of, then yeah, totally. Like, I'd be for it, but also,
yeah,
a little pricey.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. How expensive would it be to deal with something like that? Is it really?
He's a doctor and she works for Disney, so.
Well, if you can afford it, sure. I mean, that's great. But most people do not have that kind of luxury.
I'll walk out in the street, get hit by a taxi cab, and I'll get a huge settlement, and that'll pay for it.
Sharad, I assume that you went offline because there was somebody walking in behind you.
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about that.
It's
Who's
fine,
your
it's
visitor?
fine. All right. Do we want another question?
Go for it. Go for it.
I think we've done all of the categories in that one. Do you want a different deck, or do you want a different one from the same deck? Choose another category.
What are you feeling, Mike?
Try a different deck.
With the love language deck.
Ooh.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Let's see what the categories are for
Heads
this
up,
one.
I got about 30 minutes left in me.
All right. That's we can do that. All right. So we have sex and intimacy. Couple questions. That's probably more couple related. Family questions. Individual. And past and future.
Let's do family. We haven't really delved into family yet. That
Great.
much.
I will pick a family question. Ooh, this is a great one. Is there a habit or behavior you try not to emulate from your parents or siblings?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
How about you?
Me? Yeah, so the one that comes to mind for me is okay, I don't know if this counts as a habit or behavior, but you know, a number of years ago, I noticed like my daughter was feeling really stressed out from the fact that she hadn't been doing her homework, and she was worried about how I was going to react to it. And it made me reflect back on how my mum was with me and making and how I felt like I always had to be on my best behavior for her, to live up to her expectations, to make her proud, right? And it was, you know, the way that she was with me, of, you know, having, you know, certain expectations of me. And it made me reflect back on that and think, you know what, I don't want to foster that kind of thing with my kids. I don't want them to only behave a particular way because of how I'm going to react to it. I want to foster this idea that they should be making decisions based on how it makes them feel about their behavior. So it kind of changed my tactics of fostering more of you know, the way I spoke to them is like, well, how does it make you feel if you don't do these things, or if you do these things? If you are happy with the way things are, go for it. If you feel yourself that you're letting yourself down, then you can go and change it. Doesn't matter what I think, right? And so that's the kind of attitude that I've kind of gone, you know, tried to have going forward.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What about you, Mike?
I mean, I gave a big laugh because at the reading of the question, because I see so many idiosyncrasies from my dad in me, and they only intensify the older I get. And some of them I used to find really annoying, and now I've kind of found peace with them. But there was a thing. So like one of the things that my dad used to do a lot was he got frustrated by things so easily and so quickly. And he got flustered. And I think this is something that improv has definitely helped me with. But he got so flustered with things, he couldn't explain procedurally how to do something. Case in point. So like our family computer was in the dining room because that's just where it was. So I'm walking through the house one day. I see Dad sitting down at the computer, and he's playing the game Free Cell. Or no, he's playing spades or hearts, whatever, hearts. And so I sit down and I start watching him play hearts. And this is the first time I'd ever seen the game, had no concept for what it was. And I said, "How does this game work?" Or like, why did you make that move? And he goes, "Well, because that's what you're supposed to do." And I go, "Okay, but why?" He goes, "But that's just what you do." So he would get so flustered in, like, if he was ever put on the spot, or if he was under any kind of pressure, he couldn't handle it. And I didn't understand that until much later in life. But I always had such a visceral emotional reaction. And again, at the time, I didn't even understand what I was feeling. I was just feeling something based on his reaction. It was a negative feeling. And that's something that I've always been keenly aware of, is how flustered do I? Because I get flustered. Everyone gets flustered.
We all do, yeah.
But I don't want. I want to be aware of when it happens and how it happens, so that I can hopefully try and circumvent that kind of stuff, so that hopefully my kids, somewhere down the line, uh, I won't be caught off guard when they ask me to explain how to do something, or what this is, or what it means, or whatever. But yeah.
And I think in terms of, for me, probably on my mother's side of the family, there's a very, I mean, we've lost quite a few people who, through addiction, whether it's alcohol, narcotics, something else. And I remember my mom did tell me that, there's addiction. It is hereditary in some cases. It goes down the family.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in our blood, for lack of a better term. And it depends, because obviously it comes up in ways you don't expect. For me, for example, after I fell ill, I started like drinking more. I ate a lot, because I would eat a lot of chocolate and drink a lot of Coca-Cola, because the sugar helped alleviate the pain. And unfortunately, when you do that, you balloon up, don't you? So it's one of those things. Or another thing could be, yeah, because you're in so much pain, you drink alcohol to drown out the sorrow, the physical pain, emotional pain. And it's tricky. So that's one thing I learned, is that some things that do get passed on, some things that you like, you think, oh, allergies can be passed on, what have you, whatnot, but it could be something a lot more sinister than that.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that you have to be careful of, because it's not just nature versus nurture. It can be sparked in you of something that was a fault of the parent. So I'm very, very wary now about.
We
Hey,
have
buddy.
Craig joining us finally.
Hi.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good, thank you.
We're currently answering the question, is there a habit or behavior you try not to emulate from your parents or siblings? So we'll let Sharad continue his question, then you can do a little intro if you like.
Sure. Yeah.
No worries. Yeah, so it's just I'm just very, very wary of not continuing the cycle, because I know that the quote unquote the sins of our fathers can be transferable into a modern setting, but it's unfortunately it's something that you do learn as a child, and you take on, and that's the biggest fear, you pass it on to someone else. So the hardest thing to do really is to acknowledge it and then just cut yourself off. So I mean, I'm very, very happy to admit that for the last few years, aside from some fancy dinners, I have a glass of wine here and there, I've cut out almost everything. I've quit smoking. I don't do drugs, so fantastic. But eating, that one's a bit more tricky. That one, I'm kind of working on that one. But yeah, so pretty much it's the addiction. So hopefully,
especially if you're talking about sugar. So like that's something that I'm currently trying to be more cognizant of. He said as he ate an entire bar of chocolate earlier. but like it's something that you try to stay cognizant of and like reduce a little bit more, and it sucks because specifically sugar, it's in everything.
Yeah. And it's obviously it trains you to like, raise your dopamine levels. So
Mhm.
there's actual science behind it. And it's weird because it's so accessible, it's so much more affordable. And so and obviously trying to be healthy is a lot more, it's a lot more expensive. It tastes horrible and what have you, but it's just one of those things. So yeah, that's something that I need to be a lot more aware of, really.
Mhm.
All right,
Being
Craig, do you want to go on or introduce yourself first before we start with you?
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, I met Dominique in improv, and I think we've just stayed in touch ever since. And boy,
Where do you
yeah,
live, Craig?
I'm in San Francisco right now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So
Whereabouts in San Francisco?
excuse me,
Whereabouts in San Francisco are you?
Pack Heights.
Ooh, I have a friend in the Bay Area. That's
Oh,
pretty
nice. Nice. I've been here for like a month, so I have my bag. I'm kind of traveling, so I'm kind of like I'll be here for a
we'll
couple
see.
more months. I don't know. We'll see. I think it day by day. So yeah, just kind of traveling around for a little bit. What else? Fun fact. Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Where did
Software
you
engineer.
come from
Where did I come from? Yes. I came from New
besides your
York.
mama's hoo-ha?
That's how I start my stand-up sometimes.
Minnesota. Yeah. Originally from Minnesota, and then just
Where in
like traveling.
Minnesota?
Do you know what the Mall of America is?
I do. I was literally in Minneapolis yesterday,
Oh,
just
really?
south of Lake Harriet. Yeah.
What were you doing out there?
So my wife works for a company based in Minneapolis. It's a shampoo hair care brand, and so she goes 2-3 times a month out to Minneapolis.
Oh,
and
wow.
Wednesday. What day is today?
Friday.
So Wednesday was their work holiday party, and I came back to New York yesterday because I had an improv team to coach last night, and then here we are today. So yeah.
Oh, cool. So you're also in improv.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay.
I met Mike. So since we're doing intros, I met Mike at the Hawaii Improv Festival back in 2016. And Sharad, I met through doing stand-up comedy when I lived in Malaysia.
Oh, fun. That's really fun. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
How long have you been improvising?
I've not done it in such a while. Yeah.
It's been a minute. It was like
more than a minute.
2015. 2015 is when we did a class together.
I know. Was
so
it really
it was
a little
yeah,
while ago.
It must have been 2015 because that's when I
How
was
often-
like, yeah.
How often do you get people telling you that you look like Breckin Meyer?
Who's Brett? I've never heard of this before.
All right,
Breckin Meyer was in Clueless. He was in Can't Hardly Wait. He was in The Craft. He was in Rat Race. He's so good. There's a lot of stuff with Seth Green. He's favorite. You know, it's funny you should say that, Mike, because I always fancied Craig as looking like. Okay.
Yeah.
Nowadays, sure. When I met Craig back in 2015, the person I thought he looked like was Ryan Gosling. Did I ever tell you that, Craig? I thought he looked like Ryan Gosling.
It was a long time ago. I think so.
Yeah.
Breckin Meyer. I've now got a new lookalike. There you go.
It's pretty uncanny.
Yeah, I love watching Breckin Meyer and like anything that I've seen him in. He's fun.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
Yeah, he's great.
So
He's
like,
not like-
it's great.
Breckin Meyer.
Yeah.
All right, back to the question. I actually have something else I can add to this. So the question was again, is there a habit or behavior you try not to emulate from your parents or siblings? And so I answered the question already, but then I had another thought. And my dad is, if he's not watching right now, will probably be watching later. And I don't know how he's going to react to this. But yeah, but if he wants to fast forward, then he can. So I like one of the traits of my dad is that he suffered from depression for many, many years. And when he gets into that kind of headspace, he has this kind of poor me attitude, like victim mindset. And that's something that I've tried to avoid emulating. Like, I don't want to be a victim. Even when I've been a victim, I don't want to see myself as a victim. So like, I've done everything in my power to kind of like, how do I get out of this situation so I'm not being the complainy pants, poor me kind of thing, because I don't want to trouble other people with my woes, right? So that's my other answer.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's but it gets bad, right? Like, to the extent that it means that I don't, even when I do need help, I don't feel comfortable reaching out to people for help for things. And so that individualistic mindset comes from a place of trauma. It's like, I have to do this stuff for myself because nobody else is going to help me, or because I don't want to be a victim, or so it's like, there are good parts and bad parts about it.
Very cool.
I think it's just hard to like ask for help in general sometimes, or knowing when you're asking for too much help. So I mean, like I hear this oftentimes. It's kind of like, it's like, how much energy are you taking and how much are you giving? And so there's just like an element of something not implied, but like, no, I feel that. And so but yeah.
I think it's really interesting, the fact that you said the energy that you give and you take.
Yeah.
I never thought about it that way. Like, yeah, I mean, like, I think we've all been through periods, whether we're in the workplace or we have a group of friends. We always know that one guy, right? There's always that one guy that you're like, the energy vampire in the group. Maybe not you, Mike. Maybe not you, but like the one guy you're like, oh, for fuck's sake, that kind of thing. So, I mean, if there's a joke with that I've heard, that if you don't know that person in your group, odds are it's you. So, yeah.
I'm very good at recognizing when it's me. like we were talking earlier about the best friend that I have that I didn't think saw me at the same level of best friendness, and the reason for that was because I always felt like I was dumping more stuff on her than what I was getting in return, so it didn't feel like it was the same kind of level. As like, I always felt like I should be doing more to be a better friend to her, considering how much she has always been there for me during my emotional bouts of ventingness. Yeah.
Next question.
Next question. All right. Do you want to pick another category from this deck? Past and future, sex and intimacy, couple, or no? We did the family one. Wait, is there an individual?
Let's leave it up to Craig.
Yeah, let Craig have a choice.
Jeez, individual.
Individual. Okay.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
That's not an individual. That's a family question. Ooh. Is there anything you've longed to do with your life yet that you haven't?
Well, I'm not in the movies.
Yeah. Yes.
No, when I was younger, it's always been a lifelong dream to be on SNL. But dreams change, and I think that's totally fine. When I was younger, I saw that as being such a devastating perspective, because you want to live other people's dreams vicariously through them. So, like, there was for a long time, well, not a long time, there was a short period of time that I had a sugar mama. It was
Nice.
a weird situation. It was
Okay.
uncomfortable. I didn't like it. But she told me once that it was her greatest desire to be like a Broadway actor, and at the time she was like 35, something like that. And she had given up on that dream because she realized that she had other passions, other dreams that she wanted more than being a Broadway actor. But at the time, I was still pursuing that. I need to be on SNL. And if you can't be a Broadway actor, that means that I can't be on SNL, right? And so I wanted that so much for her because at one point in time she wanted that. And now having the perspective of hindsight a little bit, I don't want SNL anymore. Even if it were offered to me, I would have to think real hard about that. Because the show sucks now, and I know I'm not going to be the one to turn it back, right the ship. But also, like, there's so many other things that, a previous question was, would you want to be a stay-at-home parent, a never see your kids kind of parent, or somewhere in between? And I want to be a stay-at-home dad. I don't want the long hours. I don't want to be away from home anymore. So, what was the question?
Is there anything you've longed to do with your life yet that you haven't?
Oh, so I haven't answered the question then.
Well, I think the stay-at-home
Cool.
parent is an answer, right? You haven't done that yet.
It's true.
And you want to.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I really resonate with that. I mean, as you're talking about sort of allowing sort of like things to unfold, or sort of like the changing nature of the things that we want, and that I think it's hard to play that foresight when it's kind of like we're not going to be that same person, I think, in the future. And so it's just, there's just an element of yeah, I think of the things that have come into my life, and it's always kind of come as a surprise that I would even like that, and so it's like when I think about that longing for something in the future that I don't have yet, it's kind of like, well, I mean, maybe there's something else that I don't even know about, and that's kind of like the surprise that I'd be open to. And so in some sense, yeah.
Well, Craig, I've only known about your existence for 15 minutes now. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like a real strength of yours is being able to stay present in the moment and being open to experiences as they happen, and not setting false expectations for oneself, so that when the unexpected happens, you get to be affected by that in a real way. Would that be an accurate description of yourself?
I think so. Yeah.
Your answer also is making me think about sorry, I met Craig for coffee last Friday, and one of the things we were talking about was like the autistic experience. And so it's making me think about like when I was going through the process of getting my son evaluated for autism, one of the questions they ask is like related to long-term goals, sorts of things. So apparently autistic people are not very good at making long-term goals. And yeah, so that was like thinking about, man, I'm also like, I have had long-term goals, but like similar to Mike's thing, one of my long-term goals was I always wanted to direct a feature film. I don't really see that as something that I am capable of doing, because the steps to get to that, I've not made the right kinds of connections to be able to work on a project that big. with people. So you have to have a lot more plan in place to do that, and being autistic is not easy to make those kinds of steps in place, because I want to have the thing right now. I need to have that right now energy. So finishing projects is a lot easier for me to do if it's an individual kind of project, which is why I've published stuff that I've written myself bit easier than major projects that require a lot of people to work with on.
Yeah, I think for me, do you three remember this one Pixar movie that came out in, was it 2009, called Up? Do you remember that?
Who doesn't remember Up?
Come on.
I remember
There's a
watching
little film. I don't know if you remember. It's called Avengers Endgame.
And I remember watching it in the cinema, but I've been watching it again in recent months, and the first 15 minutes always gets me. And one thing that does resonate for me is, whether it's yourself, whether it's with your friends, your family, your significant other, we all have these plans that we'd love to do, but life happens, something gets in the way, and you don't end up doing that thing. And so for me, that really resonated with me, in that, especially with my own recent history as well, we have all these grand plans and we never do them. Something always pops up. So hopefully, if you do have a big plan or a big aspiration, just go for it. I mean, if you put it off, something else inevitably is going to pop in the way. So that's something that I'm actively going to try and do. So, yeah.
It's too hard when I don't know all the steps that are required to get there, right? Like, I'm just thinking about, like, in my current unemployment status, one of the things I've been thinking of was like, well, maybe I need a different career trajectory. I've always wanted to, get more into psychology. It's an interest of mine. I read articles about psychology and I'm trying to understand people and why people do the things that they do and like all this kind of thing. I was like, yeah, but then I was going to have to study the thing and then, all of these things. And I was like, it's too much. And I'm like, if I have to pay for it, it's like, there's all these things. So it's much easier to be like, if it's fewer steps, or if I can see a couple of steps ahead, they're fine, and then we'll see where things go from there. Like, that's how I got through my divorce. Like, I didn't know what the end goal was. Like, I just knew I needed to get out of that situation. So it's really hard for me to plan for multiple steps to a goal. If it's a goal that I can get to in 2 or 3 steps, much easier.
Well, Dominica, I mean, you can always go through, you can always get free psychology certification online. I'm not too sure the exact, well, I mean, you can. I mean, presumably you can get little certs
it's
here.
The same
no, I have a couple.
Ordination.
Yeah, no, I mean, I did a couple of online psychology courses through edX back when I worked for the company that owned edX, because I had free access to it. But it's not the same as having an actual degree in it, right? And being able to work as a therapist and help people in that capacity. So the way that I feel like I'm, able to help more people is just by sharing my experiences and having other people connect with those experiences. It seems to be more, hence doing this live stream.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever forget this. This is when I was in Middlesbrough in the UK, and I went to go see a therapist, and I was just casually asked him, "So what made you get into therapy?" And he just burst out laughing, and he just said, "The money." So,
oh my god!
Fair enough. I was like, fair enough.
Is that when you turned around and walked out?
To be fair, it was the introductory free session, so I wasn't paying anything. But I was just like, nice. It was the equivalent of like, I mean, in pounds to dollars, it would have been like $200 per hour for a session that he would charge, and I was like, Fair enough. Fair. I
Wow.
would do that too. So
That is a question no
And
one ever asks, or that's an answer no one ever gives to the question, why did you get into improv?
There's no money in improv. unless you're doing the corporate gigs of teaching, and
Even then,
and it's still not. No, it's not like corporate stand-up gigs where you can make.
You can make a lot. Well, like I was telling a few friends, like, I run my own company, and I work with an event management company, and they're always trying to get comedians to come on as options for the show. And I'm not joking. For some of them will charge up to about, I think it was $10,000 for about an hour's work. Some can. And I remember
ringgit,
yeah. So that's I mean, yeah. So that could be anywhere from
that
$3,000 to
doesn't sound too crazy to me.
Oh, it's pretty crazy.
I charge, and I'm a nobody person. I charge about $2,000 for a corporate gig, and I'm a no-name person. So if you have a stand-up comedian who has some pedigree behind them,
following
10K isn't that. It's not that crazy.
Well, that's the thing. I remember, I'm proofreading all these proposals, and I'm just sat there, just going, "I need to get back to stand-up."
Yeah,
you have to be really good to be able to get those corporate gigs, and you have to know how to market yourself to get yourself into those situations. Not every comedian is also comfortable doing those gigs. Like, I know comedians that are just, like, even if they were asked to, they don't feel comfortable doing those types of things.
I know, but it's really interesting as well, because I found that it was a very strange power dynamic from my perspective as well, because the event management team, they're like, "Hey, you did stand-up comedy. Do you know any of these people?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know all these people." And they're like, "Okay, well, who do you recommend?" And I remember between the four of us, one name did pop up, and in my mind, I was like, "This guy's really funny, but he's a real asshole." And I remember,
tell me off stream who that is.
I'll tell you who it is, because you know him, and like
I'm sure I do.
And I remember I just went up to my my friend who was the CEO of the company, and I was like, "Hey, listen, can we scrape this guy off and put someone else in?" And he said, "Oh, who have you got in mind?" I'm like, I'll come up with a list and do that." And yeah, so there you go. So always, for what I'm trying to say is, be kind. You never know who's going to want to book you for something. So if you're an asshole, good luck.
And that, Mike, is why I come across as a very kind person.
You never know.
Because even when I feel like I don't like a person, I don't be an asshole to them.
I got to meet David Tennant years ago.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, he's super chill, super nice guy.
Cool.
And he gave a little bit of advice. He said 2 things. 1, memorize your lines. 2, be kind. Because nobody wants to work with an asshole.
And yet they get work all the time. What the fuck is that about? What the fuck is that about?
Well, mind you, if you're an asshole, you have to be the top 1%, don't you, to get all that work? Like, for example, this morning, I don't know whether you guys have been following it as well. There've been a lot of hoo-ha with the recent Snow White adaptation, with the lead actress who's apparently like super toxic and no one will work with her, which goes to show that you can have all the talent in the world, but if you're an asshole, no one's going to want to work with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people will hear about
Craig,
it.
don't be an asshole.
No, I'll try not to be. Yes. Just don't tell anybody.
I mean, you can just be at the top 1% of your.
Okay. I got some work to do.
Like, you're probably the asshole in somebody's story. Like, I know my ex-husband probably sees me as the asshole in his story. So,
Yeah.
Well, actually, since the 3 of you are here, who would you say in your area would be the top 1% of improvisers for you 3?
Leaving asshole out of it, just
You mean
Not
Who's the best
necessarily.
and the best?
No, just the top 1%.
who
Okay.
performs locally, or like famous people who
For you
I've
guys.
not met,
For you
who I've
guys.
not met personally? Oh, who
For
are
you
my
guys.
favorite to watch?
The top 1%.
I'm
Jane.
go
Oh no,
ahead.
go ahead.
I'm more personable. I go with the people that I enjoy and have met rather than, you know, who's famous. So for me, someone that I personally work with, Diana Brown, she's local. She's part of, you know, I do a show called Secret Lives of Villains with her. I brought her to the Hawaii Improv Festival the following year after I met Mike, to do a show called So You Want a Job that I created as well. She is a phenomenal performer, one of the kindest people that you will ever meet. She's always being asked to work on projects. She's, you know, such an amazing, talented person.
Sure.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
there you go.
Yep.
She's amazing, and you know, she teaches workshops and all this stuff. She's not famous by any means, but like she's really been, you know, since I started working with, and I don't want to take credit for this because it's so not.
It was all you. It was all you. Yeah.
She credit me as the person who got her into like improv festivals and stuff, but her talent was like way beyond before I came along, you know, like so she's just been like ballooning in popularity like since then in the last 10 years, I feel like. So she's amazing. I would also say I love the improv group Oil in the Alley, which is Kevin Will and Sean T.C. O'Malley. I shot, they do an improv rock group, and they do invisible improv. So they don't ask the audience for suggestions, but they will interact with the audience as if they're like these, you know, former 80s rock stars, and they will talk to the audience and then from that conversation pick out a song title and then improvise the song. And yeah, I always enjoy watching them, and I've shot 2 music videos with them. Like when I discovered them online, I'm just like, this is great. And I was like, I was flying to Hawaii back in 2010 to watch Robin Williams do stand up, and while I was there, I was like, hey, you know, I really enjoyed this song that you did. Would you be interested in having me shoot a music video for you? So yeah, we just did, you know, we did it once, and then I went back again in 2012 when we shot another one. So I love working with them. They're just super nice people as well. So always love having, you know, being around them. And likewise, Garrick Paikai, who is also a Hawaii improviser. He's created so many amazing you know, improv formats that that his group has taken to festivals around the world, and you know, just have so much admiration for that kind of creativity.
Yeah. How about you, Craig?
I can't think. I know people I've done improv with back in 2015. And you know, I really liked Leela. I really like sort of like the way they held the space, I think, and made everybody comfortable, especially when they were new. And so I felt comfortable, I think, getting my feet wet with improv there. And so that's been my exposure to it. I couldn't give any more specifics than that. It's like,
speaking of Leela, I am performing at Leela tomorrow night.
Oh, amazing!
If anyone is watching in San Francisco and wants to come and see the show, they can go to the website leela-sf.com/shows to get tickets. I'm performing with the first improv group that I was part of when I moved here, called Yum, and we used to be a Leela performing improv ensemble. I was with them for like 2.25 years, and then like I branched off to do some of my own projects. So I left the group because I couldn't keep up with the kind of schedule that they were doing at the time. But we've recently reformed to start doing these shows again, and we like to do that really vulnerable stuff. Like we start off the show with a truthful monologue about our real lives, like really vulnerable stuff, like either something that's like really upsetting to us or something that's really positive. That's a really strong emotion that we'll share that, and then we'll do scenes inspired by our personal truthful monologues. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
For me, I've had I've traveled the world. I know so many improvisers, big names, small names, and like I'm so influenced by everyone. You know, you have your celebrities like Steve Carell and Stephen Colbert and Amy Poehler and Rachel Dratch and, you know, all them, Will Ferrell. Like, they are some of the best of the best. And, you know, you don't become like Michael Scott from The Office for not being good at improv, you know? So they really are some of the best improvisers on the planet. But then like some smaller name celebrities like Dion Flynn, who he like fucking rocked my socks. First time I ever saw him, I had no idea who he was. He was, and for those of you who don't know, Dion Flynn plays Barack Obama on Jimmy Fallon's Tonight Show. So the first time I saw him was at the People's Improv Theater here in New York, and it was in the Underground Theater. It's like a really super small, it's like a 40-seater theater. It doesn't exist anymore, but and they were doing dramatic improv, and my jaw hit the floor. Yep, that's him. That's Dion. And over the years, he's become, I can't call him a close friend, but a good friend. And we've collaborated on multiple projects, and he never fails to disappoint. He is so fucking talented. But then out of Chicago, you have TJ and Dave, who their show is legendary. Again, they're some of the most talented improvisers. Susan Messing personally changed my improv game around when there was a period when I was thinking of quitting and just kind of like, am I really good at this? And then she sparked the joy back in me, doing the most dumb, rudimentary, stupid improv you've ever seen. And it just really brought the fun and the joy back for me. And then, you know, you have my best friend on planet Earth, Josh Hurley. You've never heard of him because we were roommates for 12 years. He was the one who got me into improv. And he is so talented. His brain is genius and brilliant, but it's also aggravating at the same time. Like he can pull callbacks out from any stage of the performance, but he can't remember to pay rent on time. So there's like this. How are you so brilliant?
It's what part of the brain is functioning and capable of
The Abdullah oblongata, I think the term is so.
But yeah, I mean, there's such brilliant people. James Lloyd, if anyone knows Lloydie, out of Nottingham, in England, in the Midlands. Chris Gethard.
Oh yeah, I saw him. I haven't seen him do improv, but I mean, unless you want to count that he was in that improv movie. But I saw him. Don't think twice.
Don't think twice. Yeah.
But I saw him he was the guest on Paul Giamatti's podcast at Chinwag. At SF Sketchfest back in January this year, and I thought this is the first I'm hearing of him, and then I like look up his credits. I'm like, shit, I've seen him. And it's like I knew
Yeah.
this guy.
Nick Armstrong, for heaven's sakes. We all know Nick Armstrong. You know, I don't.
I'm surprised you haven't mentioned Rachel Hamilton yet.
She was my level 2 teacher. Rachel Hamilton is genius. Rachel Rosenthal. Just some of the most brilliant, and that's the thing that sucks about improv. There's no money in it, so you've never heard of any of these people.
Yeah, like Betsy Green and Bill.
Yes, Bill Trinesky.
Yes, amazing people, amazing performers,
and their neighbors down the street, Eric and Aiden.
Yeah,
like they do this 4-prov show where they basically do an improvised episode of I Love Lucy, and it's a musical, and it's so good.
Anytime I have the opportunity to go and see it, I go see it. Like they were just here back in the end of October doing the new musical improv festival that just started this year, and it was like that was the one show I got a ticket for because I have to go and see them.
And then you've got teams like Baby Wants Candy, who is world renowned. They do musical improv. You have North Coast, who does hip hop improv. Just these genres. Diana Brown does improvised Twilight Zone. It's like you have such incredible genre prov. Down in New Zealand, there's a guy named Woody, and I can't think of his last name because it's a New Zealander name that is 12 consonants and no vowels, and I have no idea how to pronounce it. But he does like an improvised James Bond. And it's just everyone around the planet is so creative and thoughtful and willing, except outside of New York, everyone is willing to learn from each other.
I feel like the best place to see the best improv is at improv festivals, where you will get to see such a wide variety of styles of improv.
It has to be a small improv festival. You can't do like the big mega festivals. Chicago Improv Festival doesn't exist anymore, nor does the Del Close Marathon. But like, you don't go to the mega ones. You have to go to the small ones, like Dominique is saying.
I'm really surprised though that you say there's no real kind of money in improv, because obviously when I think of improv, I think of whose line is it anyways, and obviously that's a thing on its own. But the fact that during the 90s and 2000s it became this huge thing, and I'm sure it raked in a ton of money.
And it doesn't exist anymore apart from in live shows. Like the tours now, but you don't see it on TV anymore. Yeah, so it's very rare.
Ryan and Colin do this touring thing now, but yeah, I mean,
improv gets made fun of in media more than appreciated. Like anytime that it is mentioned in like a TV series or whatever, there is, some animosity towards it in some way. Most of the time, I feel like.
What makes you say that?
Just anytime. Like, have you seen BoJack Horseman? Like the way that they described improv in that was like, wow,
it happens a lot. There's a scene in, I think it was 22 Jump Street, where Jonah Hill was, he was tailing somebody to try and get like some intel or blah 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 whatever, and they ended up going to this like college, like open floor space thing, and someone's like, all right, so next coming up on stage, we have an improv team, and everyone in the crowd in the movie just took a big steaming shit on the improv team up on stage. And like that trope exists in so many different forms of media.
It's really hard also to capture the magic of improv on film. Like, you really need to be in the audience to experience the atmosphere of it, the magic of the moment is very different in the theater than it is watching it on screen.
Interesting.
It really is you had to be there kind of an art form. I always explain it with we've all had those like crazy things that have happened to us. And there was like a group of people, like we were all there, and like, holy shit, some guy just like he just whizzed by on a motorcycle and it was crazy. And you try to tell that story to someone who wasn't there, and they're like, great, a guy in the motorcycle. Yeah,
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
deal. No, but you don't understand. Apparently I don't.
Because the surprise that comes, it's not in this, it doesn't feel the same when you're experiencing it secondhand or like through a screen, as opposed to being there where you have some anticipation and then, oh, there was like something happened not the way that you would have expected it to happen. It's like, wow.
We've all experienced
yeah.
an explosion, right? Like a fireball of explosion. Doesn't matter like how big or how small. We've all been around something when something has exploded, right?
Mhm.
There's that visceral feeling that you have when you're there feeling that explosion. It catches you by surprise. There's an actual physical concussion that hits you. And you've seen explosions happen on TV. And you can look at that and go, wow, that was really cool. But it doesn't have the same effect as if you were there.
True.
Yeah. And then when you're experiencing it with the audience alongside you, there's an energy that comes from the audience as well. If you're watching something on a screen by yourself, doesn't have capture the same kind of energy. And I feel like this is the same way. Like if you're watching a movie at home, different experience than watching a movie in a theater packed with a whole group of people. I mean, at least for me, I mean, I'm someone, like one of my autistic qualities is that I kind of absorb everyone's emotions around me. So if I'm in a theater, packed theater, where they're all experiencing, you know, the emotions that they experience watching a thing, those emotions kind of get trapped in my body as well. So I'm feeling it even stronger than I would otherwise, right?
You mentioned Whose Line Is It Anyway? And not to say that that was lightning in a bottle, because it wasn't. Like we've all done short form improv, like all over the place, right? And it exists at any given point, at anywhere on the planet, right? But when you have a show as popular as Whose Line, you can't recreate that same show. And they've tried. There was a show in the late 90s, early 2000s called Thank God You're Here. And again, it was a short form type program. And honestly, I think they just brought it back to Australia. If anyone knows Jason, oh, what's his name? I can see his face in my mind. I'll think of it later. Anyway, he's on the cast for Thank God You're Here. Who knows how long it's going to run? But the conceit is that you have a celebrity, right? You have a celebrity show up, and the host says, "All right, so we're going to put you in a costume, and you have no idea what the scene is about. And there's a door right over there, and you're going to walk through the door." And then you're just in the scene, and now you have to act like you were always meant to be there, right? And so this celebrity opens up the door in whatever costume they're wearing, and the first line of dialogue is "Thank God you're here" from the improvisers.
I feel like
And then they
I've
just
saw
pull them into
a
the
show
scene.
like that in Australia with a different title before back in the day. I don't even remember what it was called.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a really interesting conceit, but it didn't work. Audiences didn't connect to it, and they've done so many different types of improv. Like on you mentioned BoJack Horseman on Netflix. There's another Will, what's his name?
Will Arnett.
Will Arnett. Thank you. Will Arnett does this other show. Something about murders.
Oh yeah. He does something with what's his name? The Asian fella. Yeah, it's like murder where everything's completely improv.
Yeah, yeah. And that was really interesting, but it didn't, like, audiences didn't get it. They didn't connect to it. So short form improv is one of those things that is easily packaged and marketed because there's a control factor that that can be produced upon it. Whereas long form improv, Who knows where that shit's going?
Right. Yeah.
It's called Murderville. It had one season, and it had Ken Jeong and Conan O'Brien in it. That's right. Yeah.
And then there was a Christmas special that they did with Jason Bateman.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was really fun. But
shall we get to another question? Do you still have time for more questions?
I will stick around for one more.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do one more.
Cool. I'll stick around for one more.
Which category this time? It's sex and intimacy, couple.
Let's do the dick in the butt.
Yeah, let's do that one.
Question.
Sex and intimacy.
Let's do it. Let's get dirty.
Let's see.
PP into bum bum. Yep.
Wait, I can't ask this.
It's Craig's favorite category.
Great, Jake.
Why do you think he has the helmet in the background? Yeah, of course.
I have to find an appropriate one that because I can't ask what part of my body turns you on the most, because that's another.
Well, how much time do we have?
It's not a prisoner. I mean, we can change
How many
it to
fingers do you have?
What part of a person's body in general, not my body in particular, turns you on the most? How about that? Change the way it's phrased. Just for the record, Craig, this deck is designed for couples, not like group situations. So I have to rephrase sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, is it weird about, I mean, for me, this isn't the thing, but I noticed in the last few years, feet have become a thing. I don't get that. I really don't.
Okay, so that's not answering the question, then, is it?
Weird to me.
What part of the body of anyone that you want to think of, like,
not the feet.
if you want to think of someone in particular while you're answering the question, you can bring that up as well. If you have a particular body part that you like across the board, no matter who it is, you can answer it that. What body part turns you on the most?
Boys, you guys want to step in on this one?
Oh, I want to hear from Craig first.
Oh,
yeah,
geez.
Craig, let's hear it.
Oh, okay.
Fine, I will go first while you're thinking.
I'll go first.
Let Greg go.
First. Does it count to say that I like what I see on the inside?
Oh.
Yeah.
Right.
Cop out.
Okay, we're saying body part. But great.
Greg's a bum guy.
You said brain. Brain is what counts for the inside.
Well,
right?
no, it's more than that. But yeah, there's that. But yeah, if we're going for body part,
aesthetics.
Why? Explain your answer.
Why are you a bum man, Craig?
I don't know. It's just I'm a bum man. Juicy. I don't know how to explain that answer.
All right, Dominica, what about you?
My answer is eyes. Because
Yeah.
the way somebody looks at me has been one of the biggest turn-ons for me. It was like, if I can tell from the way that they're looking at me just how much they really love having me around, that is for me the biggest turn-on. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, it's similar to the eyes. There had to be eye contact. There's a lot of smiles, which I like. But those are my fake answers. The real one is I'm definitely just a boob guy. So if you have those,
well, I do. I'm not going to show them on screen right now.
Not with that. You won't. Yeah.
I've got a few answers for this. Like I love boobs. Who doesn't?
Yep.
Boobs are great. Everyone loves.
One needs a bosom for a pillow. So,
except for Craig.
Yeah.
Boob hater.
He didn't say he hated them. He just prefers butts.
No, I mean, I do love me a good set of boobies. Okay, so when you see a woman walked down the street and she's wearing those like
Wearing what,
Lululemon exercise pants, right? And the particular type of figure that they have allows for light to shine through the groin area from the front to the back. There's like a little hole of light that just shines
Put a lot of thought into this.
just below the paint.
Right.
That there's something about just that like gap in the legs that is so fucking attractive to me. That gets my gears going.
Lululemon
Bills of brain.
It
would be really nice.
I think my thighs are too thick to have that kind of.
That is the best. This is the most specific answer.
Yeah. Very specific.
Is that even a body part?
It's the absence of a body.
We're getting deeper here.
It's really funny. Like, do you guys have any weird kind of likes? Because like, I'm thinking of back in the 90s, early 2000s, there was this TV show. I'm sure you three have heard of it. Ally McBeal.
Of course.
Yeah.
And there was one character he liked this. He called it the waddle, where he every time like a lady would lift up her neck, he'd always get really turned on because he wanted to touch this area. He'd always go like raw, raw, and that would turn him on. Do you guys have any weird ones that kind of spark out to you?
Yes. I'm a business in the streets, a little freaky deaky in the sheets. I actually, and a lot of people think this is gross, but I actually kind of dig it when a woman doesn't shave her legs for a while. There's like a little fur down
You like
on
the
the
Wookiee.
legs.
Nice.
Say what?
You like the Wookiee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm into a little non-shaven
Me too.
legs. Yeah.
Mm.
There you go. I don't know. I shave for my own sake. I don't give a shit what other people like were, you know, what makes them comfortable or not. I like to feel my own legs smooth, so I continue to shave even though I don't have a partner. Like, you know, so yeah, that's all I was going through my head that part.
Weird parts, or
Yeah.
I can't think of any. I don't want to give a cop-out answer, but I can't. I really can't.
All right, we'll table it. We'll save it for next time.
All right.
The thing that came up for me when you asked that I'd say I don't know if this is weird or not, but and it's gonna be the impact of it. Like I like the reaction that I get when I run my nails down somebody's back.
Ooh, yeah, that's a big one. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Because usually I have very long nails. I don't right now because I had, they broke, so I had to cut them. But sometimes I have very long nails. So the impact that has on people is can be overwhelming sometimes.
I actually remember you giving me the nail to the back treatment in Alaska.
Oh my!
Did I? No, Hawaii. It was in Hawaii. Yep.
Did I really?
You gave me the nails to the back treatment, and I was like,
was that when I was trying to convince you?
Surprise!
I wouldn't know if you did.
Because you keep not remembering anytime I've brought it up. I outright told you. No, it's fine. This is years ago. Like, I'm fine.
I'm totally fine.
That's
totally fine.
Well, here's the thing.
Totally
okay, so this is an interesting thing for me. So, like, I'm someone who is more likely to be attracted to someone that I have, a friendly connection with first. And I've gone to the point now where, I mean, I don't do this anymore, but I have preferred to just outright tell somebody that I'm interested in them rather than beating around the bush. And then if they tell me that they are not interested back, then I'm like, great, now I can shut that down and move on and we can just be friends, right? And that's so much better than like pining after someone for months and then discovering later, actually, they're not into you. Because then you've wasted all that time pining after somebody that's not attracted to you.
Oh, I was a piner.
Yeah, I think we all were at some point.
Yeah. I have a question for the group that does not come from a card. What was everyone's worst date ever?
Worst date? The one where I was raped. I was like, sorry. Whoa. Yeah. I'll have to say, that's not like. What else can I say about that?
Jesus.
I mean, winner, chicken dinner. What do you want as a prize? We have I have an empty pickle jar.
If you've ever wondered why women will not go on a first date to your house, that is why.
Well, thanks for bringing the room down, Dominica.
Sorry. Well, you know, if you had to ask.
Oh, boy.
I can give you some more. Like, I mean, obviously that's not
second worst date.
Yeah, it was the second worst one.
Something that does not involve sexual assault. Okay.
A crime. Yes.
Okay. I know it's going to take some time to think about.
Okay.
I think for me, like the worst one, I think I was like 15, 16, and I'm still so embarrassed about it to this day. Randomly met a friend of a friend hooked me up with this girl from a different school. Like, all right, why don't you guys go to a local mall, hang out, just vibe, and see what you like, whatever. And we got there, and there was nothing. There was no electricity, no spark, nothing. And it was awful. It was literally like just two people just awkwardly just staring at each other and just awkwardly talking to each other until we just like halfway through, she just got up and she went, all right, I'm just going to go to this shop. And I went, all right, peace. And I just walked out. Never again. That was the worst thing ever. Yeah. So never again. So I tried to avoid setups from now on because it's just super awkward nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah. And being a teenager, so angsty.
That's why we had Nirvana to get us through it.
Yeah.
Craig? So my worst date was I went on a date with somebody I ran into and asked her out to, I think it was out in San Francisco. So we went out to Ocean Beach and we met up on the train. And it was a similar thing. Like when I first met her, it was kind of like I had there's like a connection, you know? But then when I met her on the train, it was just kind of like, it felt like the opposite, you know? So it's just kind of like we had this whole thing planned out. We were both in the train, but it still felt kind of like two magnets trying to be like push each other apart. I'm kind of like, what am I going to do? I have no idea what I'm going to do. And I just remember, I think, feeling this sense of like hot and cold, I think, between us. And we were walking on the beach, and I think it's just like, at one point I looked at her and I said, look, she was doing some name calling, and I looked at her and I said, I'm not really enjoying this. It's like, I don't like the way I'm being talked to right now. And she looked at me and she said, you know, I can't really help because I have like an issue regulating serotonin.
Oh.
Yeah. And so like, I looked at her, I'm like, fuck. I'm like, oh man, she's trying to like her best just to kind of like it's like that hot cold just kind of like I kind of came down on her because I'm like, this is kind of like shitty the way you're treating me, and she kind of like dropped that on me. I'm like, I'm so sorry.
But if that's how she's gonna be, then you can't build a relationship.
I can't help it,
right?
Yeah.
But it was really just kind of like, I guess we're done here now, and so we went on our own separate ways, and that was it. Yeah.
Well, also, like, how were you to know?
I wasn't. but like after the fact, it was still kind of like, oh no.
I would actually say your response was more than respectful, because I feel like other people in that situation would be like, yeah, well, fuck you.
Yeah.
And you're like, excuse me, I don't.
I'm more likely to just not speak up. Like, I'm really terrible at speaking up for my boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least you got a good story out of it too. So
A story, yeah, that was quite...
Don't put any labels on that, Sharad.
It was an experience.
Mm-hmm.
So
how old were you at the time?
24, 25.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. So it was a little while ago. So yeah. Shorter dates, coffee dates are better. Kind of like just see if there's anything, and then then go on a longer date like that. So it was lesson learned.
Do you guys not ever do bar dates or evening dates anymore, or before you settle down?
Oh no, I'm not doing those anymore. I mean, like, just I don't know.
Hey, nobody can have fun now.
What's dating, Sharad? Do people still date?
Yeah. Are people still dating? I mean, like,
yeah. I mean, nowadays it's more like, hey, you up, and then yeah.
Yeah. And that is why I am not on the apps.
No, they're not good. They're not good.
Dominica, do you have another bad date story?
No, I don't think so. I think most of my terrible experiences tend to get blocked from my memory. Like, even the one that I mentioned, that was something I forgot about after it happened for a while, until I got triggered a couple of times, and now it's like, oh yeah, that happened. But I also have just not really dated very many people. So to have a bad date experience tends to require you to date a decent amount, which I haven't really done.
I had this one where I am the villain of this story, and I totally acknowledge that. I met this girl at a party, and I wasn't like immediately, like, I felt no attraction to her, but when I offered, like, she was really super cool, and I said, hey, we should totally hang out sometime, and she took that as, I'm interested in you. Oh, I might be interested in this guy. Okay. So we got together, we hung out, we went to Times Square, I don't know, Times Square is such a touristy, and at the time, Toys R Us used to have a store in Times Square that had this massive Ferris wheel. You could pay, I think it was like $6.
Are you saying it's not there anymore?
No, it's gone. It's a Forever 21 now.
Oh wait, because there's no more Toys R Us. That's why. Because they went bankrupt, of course.
Yeah. But yeah, there was a big, huge Ferris wheel, and we just kind of ran around Times Square and just acted like dummies, and it was a really fun night. I had no idea it was a date. I just thought it was two people getting together to hang out. And so throughout the night, she kind of kept trying to get close or whatever. And I was totally obtuse. I didn't pay attention to any of it until the end of the night, when it was time to part ways. I thought to myself, hey, you know what? I'll be a gentleman. I'll walk her down to the subway and kind of see her go through the turnstile. That seems like a gentlemanly thing to do, right? So I went down, and we get to the turnstile, and just before she goes through, she leans in for a kiss. And she gets like that far away from my lips, and I freaked the fuck out. I didn't.
You're like, get away from me!
I didn't see it coming, and I short-circuited, and I didn't know what to do. And as God is my witness, hand on my heart, this is an honest to true thing that I did. I put my hand on her forehead, and I pushed her away from me. And then as I was doing it, I realized how horrifying my action was, but I was already in the process of doing
Yeah.
it.
You literally
And so
face
to try and
palmed her away.
Say what?
You literally face palmed her away.
Yes, I did.
Oh my
And while I was doing that, I realized how terrible this was, and I tried. My instincts were to, well, now you have to turn this into a jokey moment, and I didn't know what to do. So I said, hand on head, hand on head, as I pushed her away from me.
Oh my.
It was such an asshole thing to do, and I didn't. I had no idea we were on a date. I felt so bad for her. I felt so bad immediately afterward. And the look of horror on her face was like, okay, I'm going to go now. And she just
This is so awkward.
disappeared
No, yeah.
into the subway. Yeah, it was bad.
Did she ever text you back after that?
Say what?
Did she ever text you back after that?
No, we had crossed paths a few times because we had like friend circles and whatever, but like we'd crossed paths a few times after that. But I think a few
Go hand on head whenever you saw
hand on head. I will never forget saying that. Hand on head. And I said it multiple times.
I've been on dates that I knew were dates where I've had guys try to go for a kiss from it, and I've been like, no, like it's the first date. I'm like, I don't know yet, like, which is one date. I'm not that that kind of girl. But never like never done that.
I felt so bad.
Actually, like, from a female perspective, I mean, like how do you know when a guy wants to go in for a smooch?
Well, if they move towards you, they really should be asking for consent, really, is what they should be doing. But not everyone does that, especially if you're raised in our era.
I had a really bad experience once. And so after that, every single time, even with my wife, I had to ask consent for the first time that I kissed someone. And so there was this woman that I was dating, and I asked, like, is it okay if I kiss you now? And this was like the most liberal of liberal people that you would think her response would be, thank you so much for asking for consent. Nope. She was like, Mike, you should never ask for consent to kiss someone.
You're
that
such
ruins
a
the moment. Like, who are you?
Well, I mean, to be fair, I think that's become a lot more prevalent in the last decade or so, though, hasn't it?
More now, yeah, especially since the Me Too movement, and guys are a lot more reluctant to make first moves without consent now as a result of that, especially if they're like the right kinds of guys. Then they should be. Guys that are assholes probably still don't give a shit.
Well, I mean,
not that I would know, since I don't date.
I mean, there is the other flip of the coin, isn't it? Now it's like there's like there was this comedy show I was watching where they went, well, what about the psychos? You know, like, do you believe everyone? Like, you know, there's always guys getting, you know, I mean, it depends, right? So, well, that's a story for a different day.
Well, friends, I think I need to bow out.
What time is it now for you, Mike?
It is 1:21 in the morning.
Goodness gracious. Well, you should go to bed, my friend.
How are you feeling, Sharad and Craig? Do you want to keep going for a bit longer, or should we just end it here?
I need to go to bed.
And that is why I ask.
But thank you.
I need to go to bed.
Yeah. Always good to ask for consent. I'm not gonna. Thank you. No, I appreciate that. All right, so we will end the stream now. Thank you so much for joining me. Looks like we had 2 consistent viewers for most of the stream. So,
nice.
If there were actual viewers. Thank you so much for joining. And I don't always have a set time that I do these streams, so just subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Hit my notification bell so you can notified notified when I go live. I do also try to announce in advance on Instagram, at least if I know when I'm planning on doing these. So follow me on Instagram at Dominica Creates, and we'll
If
do
this-
it again.
If this live stream series like takes off and we all get t-shirts to wear during the live stream, I think we should get t-shirts made up that says "Get notified."
Notified.
Get notified.
We might have to. That's actually pretty good.
I will design that shirt and put it up on my t-shirt shop right tomorrow. No. So I can do it soon. I do have a t-shirt shop.
Do you really?
I do
Perfect. There you go.
for some of my improv designs from my improv business. Nobody buys anything from it, but it exists.
I did that once.
I would, yeah. You have to market it, right? And if you don't, then nobody buys stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you so much for joining, and we'll see people